And it's not necessarily their fault. Women on average are more agreeable. Women are on average they tend to lean a bit left, so naturally they would be more prone to indoctrination. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that students tend to. It's kind of this back and forth of students in a way. I'm in a school where there's a lot of smart people, and so a lot of people know there's something fishy going on, but for for the most part they can't like put a finger on it. But I've seen with my classmates, it's kind of like one one lesson on like critical race theory. Of course I wouldn't call it critical race theory, but one lesson involving critical race theory within it, it would have one idea of critical race theory. So let's say deconstruction, right? And deconstruction I have found is a contention of critical theory, or a tenet of critical theory that have been widely accepted by people who don't really know what it is. And deconstruction would be like, an example would be like, uh the Declaration of Independence. Yes, it said all men was created equal, but Thomas Jefferson was a proponent of slavery, so the Declaration of Independence doesn't count. So that's deconstruction. The deconstruction of Western canon, the deconstruction of Western canon because of the sins of great people in the past, right? So that's a widely accepted tenet of 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 people who are being indoctrinated. And so I've seen with critical theory, the way it's been spread is in bits and pieces. So one day it would be about deconstruction, and the students would agree with it. And then the next day it would be about let's say something else. Let's say like justice, and what is justice? Is there racial justice, or do we treat everybody equally? And then students would disagree with the indoctrinator at that point and would say, no, true justice is treating everybody in a colorblind society. And it kind of goes like that. So ultimately, when the students are graduating, they have accepted some ideas of critical theory like deconstruction, and rejected some ideas of critical theory like true justice and uh meritocracy and hard work and stuff like that. But ultimately, by the time they go to college, they've sort of they're one step in and one step out, which is easier for the professors who are the true ideologues, like the ideologues in a professional league in a way.
Exactly. I mean, that's 100% true how they take it in bits and pieces, but I mean, over the course of the year, tons and tons of students are indoctrinated because of it. And I don't know what kind of, how many people in your school that you know do you think are indoctrinated from this stuff?
That's interesting. I couldn't give you an exact number per se because my school has a ton of people. We have six more than 6,000 kids in our school. But I would say for one classroom, there got to be 3 to 5 people, or one to three people who know exactly what's going on. A few more people who think it's fishy and but are still prone to being indoctrinated, and the rest are just like, they're full in, they're getting indoctrinated. They don't even know a clue of what's going on. I there's a lot of people. There's one of the tenets of critical theory that students have definitely rejected is cancel culture. I could tell you that much, right? I've had so many of my friends tell me in private, people I didn't know follow this stuff, or they don't follow it per se. They're not like, I guess you or me, like tracking this down, but they're kind of like, like, I don't agree with like the contention that there's systemic racism in America, or like, how come uh this white person with like who's drinking Starbucks every morning is telling me like that I'm oppressed? You know what I mean? Like, if there's 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 this attitude among a lot of students kind of reject cancel culture, and these are people who are liberals, right? Like in New York, everybody are liberals, and I've had straight liberals for like conservative people watching this, right? This is not or sort of this is not a, I guess, a conservative versus liberal thing, because I have like I know people who like who want like higher taxes, who believe in kind of like uh a Denmark sort of like style, this Denmark style of like welfare, which I disagree with. But they'll say, like I agree with with like tax policy on the left, but this cancel culture stuff, this systemic racism stuff, like you know what I mean? So um I guess to like transition, how many dissenting voices have you heard? Because you've asked me how many dissenting voices are in my classrooms. How many dissenting voices have you heard in the I guess classrooms that you have been exposing so far?
I mean, in the of people that I know, to schools that I've gone to, both the private middle school that I went to, and the public school that I went to. At the public school I went to for a couple months, it was probably two that I know of.
Two. Interesting.
But at the private school, it was definitely more than that, and it's usually among boys that tend to be more.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I definitely agree. Like I think a lot of boys can agree with me, and most of the people who have come up to me privately has been boys. Uh, have been boys. If you, a lot of boys can agree with me. If you look on your social media, right, on Instagram or whatever, it's like it fascinates me how it's the majority of those who are reposting the social justice warrior issue of the day are like white females, white elite females, again, who like drink Starbucks every morning, right? Telling like my black friends who disagree that like they're oppressed. You know what I mean? So and it's not necessarily their fault. Women on average are more agreeable. Women are on average they tend to lean a bit left, so naturally they would be more prone to indoctrination. But yeah, definitely, boys have kind of been the group who have been. Wait a minute, this is not good. This is interesting. This is not true education.